Greetings, Gilliam the Rogue here once again with a brief and basic back with the Magicka Templar. Today we're going to be talking about the ranged DPS version of this setup. We're going to be using the elemental weapon skill. You can use Force Pulse if you so wish. If you do that, you'll be able to run Shooting Star on both bars, get that really nice Magicka, or you can still keep running Fiery Rage on one bar and Shooting Star on the other, because Fiery Rage has that better AoE DPS. It covers a larger radius, does really quick damage in terms of burst. Shooting Star is better in terms of sustained. In terms of buffs, we'll be managing with this. Since we're ranged, we're going to be using Channeled Acceleration. You can use Trap Beast if you so wish, if you're going to be able to get into melee range every 12 seconds, which many players can get accustomed to. You will be managing Channeled Focus, the best resource management tool in the game, giving you 480 Magicka recovery when you keep it up. Really, really strong. We're going to be managing Ellie Drain in a solo situation. In a raid or a group, this would be Harness Magicka instead. In terms of buffs, we're going to be dynamically adjusting to Blazing Spear, Vampire's Bane, Purifying Light, and Blockade of Fire. So there will be a little bit of bar swapping, very much like the Magicka Nightblade. Purifying Light is really hard to manage since it's 6 seconds, and you cannot cast it too quickly, or you'll lose all of the damage that it is stored. So it's really hard to be able to manage this skill. And Magicka Templar sustain is pretty nice in terms of solo, but it's still pretty difficult. Channeled Focus is a great ability, but without orbs or someone draining for us, our sustain is going to be a little bit harder. We might have to do a heavy attack here or there in order to sustain. Otherwise, if you really want, you can use the skill Equilibrium or Spell Symmetry. Balance gives you Major Ward and Resolve. You don't need to worry about it because you have that. So you can use Spell Sim if you're really struggling with sustain in solo. You could be giving up Channeled Acceleration or something of the sort for that. You could even give up Radiant Depression because Radiant Depression is very, very costly. And its damage is in a really weird spot. We're going to start using this at about 20%, but we're still going to be managing all of our dots through it. So I also want to note that I'm not in optimal traits right now. You want to be using 3 Arcane or 2 Arcane and 1 Bloodthirsty, so my DPS is going to be a lot lower than it should be. But we're in all range setup with this, so again, we're going to drink our potion, we're going to let this run down to about 20 to 30 seconds, and we're going to start managing our buffs. I'm still going to sit in melee range just because I'm used to it, but again, it's not going to be any different than if we were ranged. So as always, we're going to start with that Drain and Channeled Focus, then we're going to go into applying our buffs, so like Channeled Acceleration into our dot management. So let's begin. So now we're going to immediately apply all of our buffs, and then we're just going to be using Elemental Weapon as a spammable here, reapply that Purifying Light. Before we bar swap, we're going to do reapply our buffs here. Now, you notice that I didn't recast Channeled Focus even though it says that I should, and that is because the ability lasts a little bit longer than your action duration reminder will notice, because it lasts 8 extra seconds after it ends. So it's really, really nice. It does take time to get used to. You'll be doing it every 3 to 4 bar swaps instead of every 2, like it might imply. So again, very much like the Magicka Nightblade rotation, this is pretty dynamic. There's a lot of stuff to manage here. And again, you might have to do some heavy attacks here and there. So we're going to do some right now. Get our Magicka back. Go on our back bar. Reapply our buffs. All that sorts of stuff. My DPS is starting to drop a lot because I had to manage the sustain and all that stuff. So it is pretty hard in solo. With the range build. Again, in a group environment where you have access to buffs and all that sorts of stuff, it's not going to be this awful. And again, I do have the improper traits on, so that would help a lot in terms of our DPS if I had Arcane and all that stuff. Do some more heavy attacks to get our resources back. We almost have a potion. Reapply our Vamp Bane. We're nearing Execute, so we're going to start using Radiant pretty soon. reapply our buffs on our front bar, and then we'll start using Radiant. So we're still almost able to hit 40k. You can break 40k with this build. I'm pretty bad at Ranged Magicka Templar. And again, very much like the melee version, a lot of it comes down to how well you're managing your buffs and stuff. The dynamic rotation is pretty hard, especially since you're having the heavy attack. And since I'm not in optimal traits, it makes it look a lot worse than it actually is. Again, if you're doing triple arcane, you're going to be able to easily break 40k. Probably do about 42, 43k, and you can break 45k with this build, with both the melee and the range version. Again, I'm just not too great at it, so don't take this as an end-all be-all, but in terms of a dynamic rotation, that should have given you a rough idea. Again, Purifying Light is going to be the main pain point of this build, because if you recast it too soon, you lose all of the extra damage. So try not to overcast this. Make sure it explodes first. And then again, remember that Channeled Focus lasts 8 seconds after leaving it. So instead of lasting 18 seconds, it actually lasts 26. And again, action duration reminder does not really notify you of that. So it's going to last a little bit longer. So instead of casting it every 2 bar swaps, you'll cast it every 3. Pretty much in the same line with Elemental Drain. This lasts 24, this lasts 26. So they're pretty much, anytime Drain needs to go up, Channeled Focus needs to go up in terms of solo or a target dummy, in terms of getting into the groove of things. Again, in a group environment, this is obviously going to be Harness Magicka, so just cast it every 3 bar swaps. So hope this helped a little bit in terms of stuff. Again, you can use Trap Beast, and that'll help your DPS a lot too. But again, hope you guys enjoyed, hope this helped, but I'll see you guys around.